Hello, everybody. This is Chris, and this, of course, is my channel, Barnun 11970, and I hope you are all enjoying your day and getting ready for hopefully a very enjoyable and safe weekend. And as usual, when I do my live shows, I always want to give it a minute or two so people can see that I am doing a live show and they all hop on, which is always appreciated to me. It's just very humbling to know that I could just literally randomly do a video, and then once people see that it's on, they start climbing on board. So that to me is just amazing, because I don't plan any of these. I don't have specific times, and I want to thank everybody that comes to listen to what I have to say. And we're going to talk about, like the title of this says, the state of our union. Now, I've been watching a lot of the political stuff that's been going on, more so than I have in years, because I know there's a lot of corruption and things like that. A lot of people, especially that come to my channel, pretty much get that and understand that. But there's also, you can have a pile of dog poo, which is going to be worthless to most, but there's always somebody that could find a use for it. I mean, you could take dog manure and make it into fertilizer. In other words, you can always find something good, even out of the bad, if you care enough to focus. And I'm noticing some good things with Donald Trump being in the election. Now, again, I know the system is corrupt. I know this is an uphill battle, but I want to say the positives, and that's what I want to stick with, is the positives. Most people, and I've stated this and I've proven it, most people want the drama. Most people want the negativity or the fear. I'm never going to get 5 million people in my channel. That's fine. So the few people that want to listen to the positive stuff, you are the people I want to focus on. To heck with the rest. Let them go get their fear porn. They can find it all over the place. I want to speak with the people here that want to see the positives out of things, and that's how real change occurs, through positive and effort. So with that being said, the more I listen, especially to older videos of Donald Trump, the more I respect his ability to want to at least acknowledge the corruption that is going on. And this is where it's most important. From what I've seen before Trump, is politicians that will do everything under the sun to avoid a question, to circle around it, and to not give credibility to legitimate concerns from the people they're supposedly representing. And I'll give you a prime example. I don't know what channel to look at, but there's a video that I saw where they interviewed Obama about the convention that just happened and what he thought about Trump. And his typical politician response was talking about, America's not as bad as Trump is leading it to believe. And then he goes into this rhetoric, and I quote, he says, "I'm sure tomorrow the sun will be shining and the birds will be chirping." And to me, that is the epiphany, or the epitome, of the typical politician that just is so out of touch. Because yes, tomorrow the sun will most likely shine, and tomorrow most likely the birds will be chirping, but tomorrow, while the sun is shining and while the birds are chirping, there are people that don't have jobs. There are people who are starving. There are people that are programmed to hate one another. So, speaking about the sun shining and the birds chirping is avoiding the issue. And I will, if there's a video out there, and I wish I had the link, because I was going through a lot of videos, because I was doing a lot of research this day, that's why the video's so late, is Trump has been talking about this stuff, believe it or not, since the 80s. And he's been consistent with the fact that politicians are not what they seem. And I love the fact that he called out the media. To me, what that's going to do is, as you can see, more people are voting, even though we know the votes don't count, but that's not the point. It's creating a movement. What it's doing is getting more people to involve themselves in something that they started thinking what's the sense of doing it? It's not going to change anything. It's giving people hope. And again, this video, I'm not going to have 10,000 people watching this. Right now, I currently have 15 viewers. Those are 15 caring viewers. Those are the people that are interested in positive vibration and change and effort. If you want fear porn, go to Alex Jones. If you want nothing but hate, go see all my troll accounts that people have that come to me and attack me. Go see all those troll accounts that do that to me. All the ones, and I say my troll accounts because they specifically target me alone. And they have no content. But here, I want to start speaking more to the positive people, the people that want to make an effort, the people that are tired of the same old, same old. Because I would rather go with something new that is unknown than to continue to do the same old just because it's familiar. And what this movement is achieving is more unity in 1 year of him doing this than I've seen in a lifetime of politicians. And I've seen videos where, like, especially CNN, and horrible job especially, and they're all amazingly horrible, but CNN, the people should stop watching you. You should be shut down. You should all be fired. You have no right to be considering yourself journalists. All they've done, and I watched it, and it was painful to the point where I started physically getting depressed. I started getting physically angry. The more I was watching mainstream media commercials and advertisements and quote-unquote news media, it reminded me back before I knew all this stuff of how angry I was getting, and got me depressed. And then I realized something. Wait a minute. These news, quote-unquote, channels, they're entertainment, albeit extremely horrible and dishonest entertainment. They do not bring up facts. They gather a bunch of people, whether they're, be it they've been in politics for 5 seconds, or they're just somebody that's going to a specific university, or a movie star, or a singer, and they say, what's your opinion about what this other person is doing, or thinking, or saying? What does that have to do? Our news media is nothing more than a gossip column, asking people what their opinions are. And there was a video I saw today where the typical CNN basic reporter, who is, quote unquote, just doing his job, was trying to ask things like, oh, a lot of racist people are voting for Trump. And he asked this to an African American. And this gentleman, who I wish I was there, I'd give him the biggest hug in the world for his response, saying how even if there are racist people, because there are good and bad people, and believe it or not, good and bad people both do vote, both do have specific leaders they might just gravitate to for whatever reason. Because like it or not, most people know nothing about politics. They base their vote on somebody they like or don't like. That's the fact. And this gentleman was basically taking this reporter to school of saying that even if that's true, are you associating that racist person by meaning that Trump is racist? It has nothing to do with one another, but the media tries to make it like, oh, guilty by association. And then someone else in the crowd tried to associate with, well, aren't the Black Panthers associating themselves with Obama? Does that mean Obama's for the Black Panther movement, if there's any violence in that movement? And this reporter, after a while, just walked away. And where was he going, most likely? To find some person that couldn't actually speak back to him so they could get the news that they were looking for. And the news during this whole thing was so embarrassing. It was so propaganda and agenda driven that you literally have to be half asleep, drunk, and on medication to not see it at this point. And what this movement, and I call it a movement, is doing is it's getting people that lost hope, getting people that gave up, giving people that thought there's nothing we could do, that helpless feeling, empowerment. And I will give Donald Trump that kudos just for that. What happens if he becomes president or if he can change anything at this point is irrelevant. What it's doing is it's getting people to stand up when they didn't think they could anymore. And again, good and bad is based on perception. You can take bad and make something good out of it. You could take something good and take something bad out of it. How many inventions started out with the intention of being good, all to be turned into a weapon? It's the person, it's the people that dictate whether something's good or bad. Like, for example, a car. A car can get you where you want to go. A car can also be used as a weapon to run someone over. A knife can cut your food. A knife can cut your best friend. It's who uses it that makes something good or evil. So I think a lot of the fear porn and a lot of the Illuminati kind of stuff, I mean, the more I get into this stuff, the more I realize that stuff, it's ultimately up to us to decide, do you want to be good or do you want to be bad? And let me call out every single person that has come here with nothing but hate in their heart. I challenge each and every one of them to do something good that makes this country better, instead of using their limited energy on trying to discredit me because back in 2012, I wanted to have a fight with a YouTuber. Like, I just one day decided to make a video and says, I feel like fighting a YouTuber. It's just stupid. And I just don't want to play their games anymore. And I think the people here, we're tired of being laughed at, ridiculed, insulted, unheard. And I think this movement, I mean, he's talking about how the media is controlled and bought and how politicians tell you everything that you want to hear. And you know what? I've been saying that, and many people have been saying that for years, and we're getting laughed at. He also has been talking about the fact that, ignore the job numbers that they give you out in the public, and the government and the politicians, and the media tells you that, 5.6%, 6.5%. No, it's more like 18, 19, maybe 21%. Maybe the people needed to hear it from somebody like that so they could, wait a minute, I've heard this before. Now somebody important is saying it. It must be true. You can do anything in your life. It depends on how bad you want it. And at the very least, it shows that a person, and again, I wish I had the video, but I think it was entitled, after you watch this video, you'll understand why Donald Trump is going to be president or something like that. I wish I remembered. I apologize, I don't. But even back 30 years ago, people were asking if he was going to want to become president. And he was talking about the things that he's talking about today. And how he didn't want to become president because the guy's a billionaire. This is a pay cut for him. So again, there are going to be people that will be like, well, Chris, you talk about all this corruption and everything. There's definitely corruption. But when you bring light into darkness, it kind of brushes away the darkness. The way the darkness thrives is when we're so scared to shine the light upon it. And maybe this is the movement that we need. Now, whether he's corrupt, bought, or sold, or whatever is irrelevant. Because what we can take out of this from it, it could build up our strength and say, wait a minute, if somebody else can say it, because they basically said he couldn't do this. They laughed at him the whole time. Well, who's laughing now? Maybe that can awaken people, say, wait a minute, I can do this. I can make an effort. I can change. I can be spoken. I can be heard. Because keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, most people fear the dark because they can't see. Well, if you can't see in the dark, use a light source. And here's the beautiful thing. In a room full of darkness, you only need one match to light the way. Have a room full of light and have a little bit of a darkness be able to do anything. So, regardless of the uneven side, the good will always outweigh the bad unless we believe that to be untrue. Because remember, like I've taught, and maybe this is why I've been teaching this stuff, is you create your own truth. You create your own belief system. Saying you don't believe in something is a belief system, because you have to believe in what you say to not believe in something. So that's the irony of belief. You could say, I believe in nothing. And that is a belief system, which contradicts what you say is your belief. So think about the irony and how weird that sounds. You could literally believe that you believe in nothing. And that makes that statement untrue, because for you to believe that you believe in nothing, you have to have a belief system that gives you that belief of not believing. How crazy does that sound? You create your own truth based on your own perception. And my perception now is we can make change. We will make change. People are waking up. This is the beginning. But it won't be if people decide it won't be. We don't need billions of people to wake up and change the world. We need a couple of thousand to change the world. And remember, for a fire to ablaze, come ablazing, sometimes all you need is one little match. And once that fire burns, it can burn out of control to the point where nothing can stop it except itself. Sometimes fires engulf forests, but when there's nothing more to burn, it dies out. So the next time you are afraid, and it's funny because my wife is so afraid of going into the basement. She will not go down there in the nighttime. And I'm like, even if, let's say, there were monsters down there, let's just say hypothetically there were monsters down there, are you telling me that they're limited to the basement? They couldn't come out of there and go somewhere else? So what's the difference? When you go to bed at night, you shut the lights, it's dark. Why are you safe there and not just in a different room in your house? It's the fear that you create, and you believe in that fear so much, it becomes your reality to the point where your fear says, don't go there, don't do that. And I am saying to you right now, for the 15 people that care enough to not be here for fear porn, to not be here for drama, to not be here for fighting, but to be here for a truth that you resonate with. Because my truth is not the truth unless you believe it to be true to yourself, then it is only your truth. But if everybody had the same truth, that would bring lots of strength. So that's what I'm all about. It's all about finding the few people who are willing to take on the abuse, take on the doubters, take on the humiliation, take on being ignored, to say, if I give up, I guarantee failure. If I continue on, I guarantee future success as much as I can bring. Because like they say with the lotto, you got to be in it to win it. Because if you don't play the lotto, you are guaranteed to not win. But if you play, you at least have a chance, rigged or not. And that's, in my opinion, the way we should all be looking towards the future and creating our future. If you want change, you better start making it. Because if you're waiting for everybody else to make that change, you'll be waiting the rest of your life. And that's what I've been doing for a long time. No more. I've let some of those trolls, I mean, especially they were very effective on my comic book channel. And I think where I got most hurt is people that I thought were friends who betrayed me. That was the ultimate betrayal. But I allowed them to dictate my belief system based on the fact that I felt like I had to keep defending myself of their accusations, which, by the way, have not changed since 2012. They can't find anything else. But for a while, they were controlling where I was going. And we can't allow those people who contribute nothing to dictate and scare us. And our family and friends who ignore us or call us crazy. That's their perception. Doesn't mean it's true. And if you believe in you can make an impact and you can make a change, then you will, unless you give up. Unless you're afraid. And fear is okay. Fear is not negative unless you make it to be, because I've made plenty of examples. There's a reason why you're scared of a lion. Because if you weren't, and you went out in the middle of the jungle and you saw a bunch of lions and said, oh, I'm going to go pet them, well, that'd probably be the last thing you ever did. So the fear is to keep you safe. Not all fear is good. And unfortunately, there are people that are much smarter than us, who've been around knowing a lot more than us, who take advantage of knowing how easily it is to control you. Your life is like being in a maze. And if the free will is you traveling anywhere in that maze that you want to go. But if they don't want you to go in a certain direction, what happens if all of a sudden they put a flame up there? A bunch of fire blocking your way. You'll have the freedom to turn around, but they've controlled your destination to a certain expense, and you still have your free will. Once you realize that, and you realize that you're Dorothy, and you have the power to go home all along, your efforts will be dictated by your heart, and you will understand that fear is a tool. If fear is making you not do something that you love or you want to achieve, that is controlled fear. If fear is protecting you from something that could cause you harm, that's positive fear. Once you learn the difference between the two, you will just make the decision on what you're going to be afraid of and what you're using as a learning tool. Because ultimately it's a choice. So here's my prediction. And I can't give an exact date because obviously it just doesn't work that way. But there's going to be some positive changes coming. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be next week. It's not going to be this year. But within the next 5 years, there are going to be some amazing positive changes that you've never seen before. And you can doubt that. You can criticize it. You can record it, mark it down. And that's why yesterday I made a video talking about a potential false flag at the convention. Because I saw how the news was going, and the news loves to pump those things, and they were showing all the police lined up in their riot gear. And thank goodness it didn't happen. And then I realized I'm helping to promote their fear, their negativity. Watching hours of all that news is definitely, it corrupted my head for a little while. Like I said, I was getting depressed and angry. And I was watching 8 hours worth of it just to make a couple of videos to give people my thoughts. Because, you know, I want to make my thoughts based on what I'm seeing, not what I'm believing or hearing. And I took that video down. I don't want the negativity anymore. I want to inspire for those who care enough. And if that means out of 25,000 subscribers, 8 people listen, then those 8 people are going to help me and others change the world for the better, because we give a crap. And maybe those 8 people will bring 2 more people, and they'll bring 2 more people. And then all of a sudden, instead of 25,000 where 90% don't care, we have 1,000 that do. And just imagine what 1,000 positive people can do to start changing the world. All the different ideas they can come up with. All the different strengths and talents that they all have. You don't think you can change the world? Then you won't. You believe you're going to do everything to change the world? You're already on your way. So it proves my point, because if I started getting depressed or disappointed or angry or whatever, I'm not going to motivate anybody. How is that helping? And if one person listening to this, whether it's during the live show or 5 years after this video's been up, if all of a sudden it makes them say, wait a minute, I can do something. I'm so glad I got drawn to this. There is no coincidence. You know how many times I've gotten emails and comments saying, you know what, I was just browsing the internet, I saw one of your videos, and it was exactly what I needed. I've gotten that so many times I can't even count it. And if you think that's just coincidental, keep researching and everything, and to find out that everything you draw yourself to what it is your heart wants to follow, good and bad. And again, with your belief system, I mean, again, you could say, I don't believe in God. But again, that's a belief system. So you have to have a belief system to not believe in something. I love that. So pay attention to what's being said, how it's being said. I'm not going to sit here and say Trump is going to save the world. But he's definitely changing the thought patterns that it's not impossible. And that's a start. That is waking up people. That is letting people all of a sudden now who are so afraid to talk to the media or call them out, all of a sudden people are starting to talk about the media in ways that we haven't ever heard of before. That's the start of change. And again, think of like a tsunami. One drop of water can do nothing. You drop a whole ton of water all over the place, you ain't stopping it. Let's get this to flow. Keep adding to it. Keep putting your positive vibrations. To hell with the people too lazy or too afraid or too angry to do anything other than try and hurt other people for whatever reasons. Who cares what their agenda is? But we also can't be afraid to talk about it too. You can't live your life with rose-colored glasses and expect everything to be positive that way, because you're only seeing half of the world. The bad things that come to you are to teach you something. The more you ignore it, the stronger it gets until you finally pay attention to it. The difference between evil and good is your choice to decide to be both, to be neither, or to be one. And that doesn't mean if you try and do good that you are 100% good. If you try and do evil, you're 100% evil. Because despite whatever Hitler was supposed to be, the average person has a certain idea of what Hitler is. So we're going to stick with that idea. There were times that he loved his dog and would pet it and treat it well. He had love for an animal. I'm sure as a child he wasn't going around stabbing people. There is always good in bad, and there's always bad in good. It's what you do throughout your whole life that will dictate the majority of what you are. The idea is, unfortunately, there will be other people that will try and take whatever negative that you do and spin that off as how you are. And that's only working if you allow it to. And that's what some of these trolls, who I guess are pretty smart in that sense, sneaky smart, not smart in a way that's positive or for change in the world, but sneaky smart to underhandedly trick people, got me to believe that I had to spend my time defending myself from their same accusations that have been going on since 2012. Yes, back in 2012, I wanted to fight a fellow YouTuber, and I won't say their name. If they want to say who they are, that's perfectly fine, because he still has my phone number to this day and called me a couple of weeks ago. I refused to answer the phone. I don't speak to people that pretend to be your friend, because actions speak louder than words. And I'm not going to justify what happened, but if you people, based on what you've seen on my channel, if you think I just one day decided, you know what, I feel like picking a fight with somebody because that's the message I want to send. If you think that's the case, then believe those people. But that's all they got. And they're going to stick with that forever. This could be 2045. And if I did nothing else like that, they'll bring, oh, you want to follow a person that back in 2012 wanted to fight a fellow YouTuber? Well, I guess they must live in glass houses, because they sure throw a lot of stones. Of course, by not ever showing themselves on camera. As a matter of fact, I had a person, I don't know if I mentioned this a couple of days ago, there's a person, one of the people that hates me and actually uses my name in their tag list to get more views, which doesn't help them because their channel is garbage. Actually, on someone else's video that had nothing to do with me or him, well, actually it did, because they called, I was called a paid shill, which I find that's so funny. I wish I was getting paid to be a shill. I'd be making a lot more money than I have now. I'm struggling financially because I'm doing the right thing. And there's always a price to pay, but I will always survive and I will always make it, even when it's hard. But this person made a challenge and said, oh, you'd never debate me because I'd, throw you to the floor with all the stuff he's got on me, which I'd love to know what that is, because there's nothing. And I guess he didn't think that I would ever call him on his bluff. And I said, you know what? I'll be more than happy to debate you. All you have to do is put yourself on camera, because if you ever saw this person's channel, he's never shown his face. There's a reason why people hide. I do this way because it's just easier. I have dozens, if not hundreds, of videos with my face on them, so I'm not hiding. And he is yet to respond. And he said, and I quote, I'll make you my little, pardon the expression, so if you're young, cover your ears for a second. But he said, I'll make you my bitch. And I called him out. Still waiting for it. So, again, hold your ears. Who's the bitch now? Because he never replied. Because he'll never show his face. Because cowards hide for a reason. And that's why a lot of politicians get away with the things they do, because they're always hiding. And that's why the people that have been in control of this world, the people that finance, and even that's another thing Donald Trump talked about, is, the lobbyists and the people with the money, they're the ones that are really in control. They hide. Because when they're hidden, they're mysterious, and you always fear what you don't understand. But we're starting to see that the more we stand up, the less happens. When you play poker, there's a thing called bluffing. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it means, let's play, you're playing 5-card stud or 5-card poker, whatever. And you have nothing in your hand. Nothing worth, you're going to lose. You could start betting real high amounts and have this confident look on your face. Let's say the bets are $1 a piece. And you have a pair of twos. And you're not going to win. But you say, all right, dollar bets, $20. And you give it with a cocky look on your face. And there'll be people, they might have 2 pair, maybe even a 3 of a kind, maybe a possible straight. But they'll say, wait a minute, the average bet is 25 cents. The biggest bets have been $1. This guy's putting in some big money. He must have something. I'm not going to take the chance. I fold. And the beautiful thing is, you never even have to show your cards. So if everybody folds, your bluff got yourself to win based on deception, in a way. Perfectly right to do in gambling and in playing cards. It's part of the game. But these people that are supposedly in control, these Satan worshipers, supposedly these Illuminati, supposedly all these people that can supposedly contact demons, yet I've never seen one in my lifetime. I've done videos where I called out to Satan himself and said, if you want my soul, I'll give it to you freely. You just have to show up and take it. Never came. So they give you all this fear porn about, they can contact spirits, and there'll always be somebody that says, oh, I know a guy that's done it. Have any of you actually seen a demon? And if so, prove it. I'll tell you this much, I haven't. And you'd think, with all the things that I talk about over the 5 to 6 years I've been talking about this stuff, you'd think I would be somebody they would want to silence. And yet here I am still speaking. Why? Because I lost the fear. They don't have the control they make you believe. When you watch The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and of course the Cowardly Lion, when they first got to Oz and saw that floating head that was surrounded by fire, they were all scared to death of that image. And then when they found it was just a man behind a curtain making an illusion, none of them were scared anymore, including the Cowardly Lion. If you want to be continually scared by videos and by conversations of he said, she said, and the amount of bot accounts, because I've already proven it. Watched the video the other day when I was online, and the same people, they were saying the same things over and over again, and they were there for 8 to 10 hours. These are robots or people that get paid to do it. These are the traitors of this country. They don't want free speech. They don't want you to learn the truth. They don't want you to find out that it's just a man behind the curtain. Because if you find out there aren't these Satan worshipers that can conjure up aliens and demons, and they're just old men with lots of money, you won't be scared of them anymore. And then they lose the control. Because remember, like the movie Ants, the Disney movie Ants, a couple of huge, scary grasshoppers that were small in number used their violence and their size to threaten the ants into doing their bidding for them, making them do the work of getting food for the grasshoppers. They used their intimidation. They used the fact that they were bigger, and they were scarier, and they were stronger. And they were, but only individually. Until by the end of the movie, the ants realized, yes, we are smaller. Yes, we are weaker, but we outnumber them 100 to 1, if not more. And when they all grasped hands and said, we don't need you, you need us, the game was over. Politicians, banks, corporations need you more than you need them. When you figure that out, and the masses figure that out, change will happen overnight. You want to put a company out of business? You don't set it on fire, because then they just collect the insurance and build a better one. You don't create injuries and harm, because that just throws you in jail or gets you killed. What do? You stop buying their product and you smother them. If you have a grease fire, you could put water on it. That might splash the grease around and make the fire go crazy and out of control. But if you could cover the fire so it no longer can feed on the oxygen it needs to survive, it goes out instantly. You tired of the unfortunate taxes? Learn why you're paying taxes. Remember, the 13th Amendment is quoted. I wish I had the book in front of me. Do I? Let me see. I probably don't, but I remember the beginning, at least by heart, that the 13th Amendment legally defines the word slavery as involuntary servitude, which means they could not make you do anything. So I wonder, and I'm not going to suggest anybody do this because this is just my belief, I could be wrong, but if they're telling you you have to pay taxes, isn't that involuntary servitude if they threaten to take you to jail if you don't pay them? Now, I'm not suggesting anybody not pay their taxes. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is, according to the 13th Amendment, they legally define the word slavery as involuntary servitude, and yet they'll threaten to put people in jail if they do not pay what they call taxes. It's really theft. Because somebody made a very good point, and actually it was Donald Trump that made a very good point. Every time interest rates are lowered, gas prices and oil prices go higher. So you think, oh, lower interest rates, that's good. But then you're spending the same amount that they took away on gas. Now, I don't have any charts and I haven't checked that. But I want somebody who's smarter than me or has the better technology to check these things than me. Somebody that knows about charts. So if Endless Mountain, if you're out there, you're an expert on charts in my opinion. Check when interest rates go down, do gas prices and oil prices actually do go up? But my thing is, and this could be applied to anything a government says, because everything's based on free will. And even they state it in the 13th Amendment that slavery is defined as involuntary servitude. So if they're making you do something, does that mean now that they believe in slavery? Because according to the 13th Amendment, they're not supposed to be able to do that. But if you don't contest that or argue that fact, well, then you're allowing it. So then I guess it's okay. If somebody punches you in the face repeatedly and you say nothing, you must like it because you're not complaining. You're not moving out of the way. You're not stopping it. Quite interesting if you think it about that way. If you realize that you could take back the power and not have to pull a trigger, not have to have any losses, not have any destruction, not have any hate. The reason we have divide and conquer is the media and the politicians are telling us we're supposed to hate each other. You know the people I hate? The trolls that come and try and make up these arguments again and again and try and start fights that you can't stake debates with. You know who I hate? Evil people that steal from people. You know what I hate? Politicians that lie to us. You know what I hate? Corporations that are trying to steal everything from us. Those are what I hate. I don't care what skin color they are, what sexual preference they are, what religion they believe in. You think I give a damn about the sexual preference of somebody who runs the Federal Reserve? You think I care about what color skin they have? I care about the fact that whoever and whomever they are stealing our wealth, making us poorer while they become ultimately richer and richer. And not for nothing, another thing I respect about Donald Trump is he's a billionaire. And he has a lot more to lose than to gain by talking about this stuff. So that's all I want to say about this. If you appreciate this, you can give it a thumbs up. You can give it a thumbs down. That's up to you. I leave that up to the individual. I see somehow, for some reason, the feature for the question and answer is disabled. I don't know why, because I've never disabled it. I'll have to check into that, so I apologize for that. But if you haven't subscribed, please do. I always love to hear what you have to say. And create your own truth and go from there. Things are going to get better. You mark my words. It may not be noticeable right away, but you'll see. At least is my belief system. I hope more and more people resonate with it. So if you do, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. That's fine. Love you all. Have a great weekend. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Have a good night.